Missouri currently has a 25-year high unemployment and 272,000 Missourians are out of work. All across our state, families are having to make tough financial decisions, putting off things they want just so they can afford the things they truly need. In short, more than ever, Missourians are having to tighten their belts and prioritize. Just as Missouri families are required to tighten their belts, so too must state government. Missourians are fiscally conservative people, and especially in these tough economic times, we must not turn our backs on that value. In January, I sent the legislature a proposed budget based on our shared priorities of supporting education, funding health care, providing more job creation tools, and making college more affordable. Last month, in a bipartisan way, the legislature passed an operating budget that meets many of these needs. The legislature also sent a 2-year capital improvement bill that proposes to spend an extra $600 million. The budget the legislature passed was based on a consensus revenue estimate that was established back in January. Clearly, the economy has not performed up to those expectations in the last 6 months, and it is now likely that the state will not hit those revenue projections at fiscal year 2010. This shortfall means we must further tighten our belts. This belt tightening is in no way meant to rebuke the legislature. We've worked extremely well and in a bipartisan way to move this state forward. However, at the end of the day, the constitutional duty to balance the budget during these tough times lies with the governor. That's why the budget I signed this morning will include $105 million in line item vetoes, which are permanent cuts, and $325 million in spending restrictions that can be released later if revenues exceed expectations. Included in the line item vetoes are $24.7 million for interoperability. I signed $87 million of this critical funding for first responders to be able to communicate with each other in the law, but this extra money that we don't think we'll need to complete this project. $12.6 million for ethanol funding in 2012 and 2013. My budget will fund both the FY10 and FY11 ethanol payments. Because this is a 2-year bill, there is no need to fund ethanol beyond those dates at this time. $10 million for Jefferson City interchange. This is a worthwhile project, but it should be funded by highway funds, not by the funding source provided. This near record amount of line item vetoes was not made lightly. These fiscally responsible steps are necessary to ensure that Missourians have a government we can afford without raising taxes and without sacrificing our shared priorities of education, health care, and jobs. But more had to be done. That is why I have further restricted an additional, as I mentioned before, $325 million in spending. This is money that can be released later if revenues exceed expectations. Those include an additional $60 million in cuts to the state bureaucracy that my administration will start making immediately on July 1. This cut will affect state government overhead and will result in a reduction of approximately 200 state employees above and beyond the 1,244 positions eliminated in the budget I signed today. Also included in these spending restrictions are a number of important projects, including the Ellis Fischel, Benton Stadler Hall, and the projects at Missouri State and Truman State Universities. These are projects that we need to find a way to get done. That's why I'm signing them into law, which will then give us the chance to determine the most cost-effective way to move forward. Clearly, there will be some who wonder, why not just sign the entire budget into law and roll the dice and hope and pray our budget turns around? Frankly, that's exactly the type of thinking that has landed so many other states in the dire straits they find themselves in today. After putting off tough decisions, those states are now slashing education funding, dramatically increasing college tuition, raising taxes, cutting health care, and failing to fund the prisons and public safety officers that keep our families safe. That is not the path Missouri will follow. We will be fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' money. Missouri families are having to tighten their belts and prioritize, and they expect nothing less from their government. But even while remaining fiscally responsible and thrifty with the money Missouri taxpayers send us, it is still possible to make real progress on issues of the utmost importance to Missouri families. This budget demonstrates clearly that fact by making significant progress in a number of areas that will help turn our economy around. It's important to include those here. We will fully fund the foundation formula and deliver more money to Missouri classrooms than ever before. We have freezed tuition at every public college and university in Missouri, the first time in memory. We've instituted the Caring for Missourians program so that we can fill healthcare jobs of the future. We eliminated the franchise tax from Missouri small businesses, the targeted tax cut that we're convinced will make a difference. We're funding critical public safety services like prisons, highway patrol, that other states have been forced to cut. I am confident that this fiscally responsible budget will help Missouri come out of this national recession more rapidly than other states that right now are teetering on the edge of financial abyss.